Namaskar. Welcome to Ancient Wisdom. Today we are going to look at the difference between thinking and Vichar. In general, thinking in English is translated in Marathi as Vichar or vice versa. But this is where the confusion starts, and this confusion goes on increasing because it is not clarified at any point of time. What is the exact difference between thinking and Vichar? When you think of thinking or when you visualize thinking, you will always have the Rodin's thinker in mind. Rodin was the great sculptor, and his sculpture of a thinking man who sits with his wrist to his chin and head bowed, that is the epitome of thinking in Western culture. Do we mean the same when we say Vichar? Not at all. I was listening to a TED talk in which one of the researchers, he said that a squid, a particular type of squid, it attaches itself to a rock and then starts further in its life cycle. Interestingly, the squid is born somewhere else, floats in the water, manages some movement, and then attaches itself to the rock or a stone near the surface of the water. And as soon as it does that, it eats up its nervous system and its own brain. And hence, from that point of on, it becomes incapable of motion of any type. But it doesn't need to move anyway because its life cycle is limited to that point of attaching itself to a stone and then going on with its life cycle, which will end up on that stone itself. So this researcher says what that means is the most important function of the brain is to manage movement. And to a great extent, it applies to human beings too. The main function of the brain is to manage the movement of various bodily factors or various bodily agencies. And interestingly, this is exactly what is the difference between thinking and Vichara. Thinking is considered to be brain activity, thought activity, which is done with the grey matter of a brain, the body remaining static. Whereas Vichara, Chara itself means movement, and Vichara means moving from one point to another, another to another, next to next, next to next, and so on. Maybe some of these times you might come back to the initial position, but you will not be the same as you were when you passed that point before. And definitely it is not a circular function by which you keep coming back to the same point again and again. So, a Western thinking is characterized by non-movement, cerebral function. Eastern movement is cerebral function as well as a hugely bodily function, and that of movement from one point to another. It consists of changing your position as relates to the object of thinking and taking a bird's eye view, taking a eagle's eye view, taking a worm's eye view, taking a emic view and etic view, one after the other or simultaneously, and looking at the problem from multiple angles, multiple spaces and multiple dimensions. So, when you say that you are doing Vichar, you are doing something which activity is extremely physical, mental, emotional and cerebral, whereas thinking is a very small subset of Vichar. Think about it. Namaskar.